I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd charge their own mother rent, but here we are, and now half my family won't even speak to me. My sister called me a heartless monster, and my aunt said I'm going straight to hell. But before you judge me, please hear the whole story, because I'm genuinely starting to question if I've lost my moral compass or if everyone else has lost their minds. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Who's the Villain? AITA. Before we dive into this crazy situation, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like if you enjoy these moral dilemmas. Also, drop a comment letting me know what city you're watching from. I love seeing where our community is from. So I'm 38F, married to Jake, 41M, for 12 years, and we have 2 kids, Emma, 14F, and Lucas, 11M. My mother, Linda, 67F, moved in with us about 8 months ago after she sold her house. And yes, I'm charging her $800 a month in rent. There, I said it. But wait, because the context here is everything. My mother isn't some frail, poverty-stricken widow. When she sold her house last year, she walked away with $485,000 in pure profit. The house was completely paid off. My dad made sure of that before he passed away 5 years ago. She also gets $2,200 a month from my dad's pension and another $400 from Social Security. That's $3,600 a month in income, plus nearly $500,000 sitting in her bank account. Meanwhile, Jake and I are drowning. We make decent money. I'm a dental hygienist making about $52,000 a year, and Jake works in IT making around $78,000. But we live in Seattle where the cost of living is insane. Our mortgage is $3,200 a month, and that's for a modest 3-bedroom house we bought in 2015. Add in property taxes, insurance, utilities, and everything else, we're barely keeping our heads above water. Emma needs braces next year, $6,000 even with insurance. Lucas has ADHD and his medication costs us $180 a month after insurance, and we haven't taken a real vacation in 4 years. The reason Mom moved in is where things get complicated. She sold her house because she said it was too big and lonely after Dad died. Fair enough. But here's what she didn't tell us until after she'd already sold it. She had zero plan for where to live next. She just assumed she'd move in with one of her kids. She literally showed up at my door one day with her stuff in a U-Haul saying, "Surprise, I'm ready to move in." I need to give you some backstory about my family dynamics because it matters. I have 2 siblings, my older brother Michael, 42M, and my younger sister Sarah, 35F. Michael is the golden child who can do no wrong. He's a surgeon living in a 5-bedroom house in Bellevue with his trophy wife Rebecca. They have no kids and take vacations to Europe 3 times a year. Sarah is the baby who Mom still treats like she's 12. She lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in Portland, works part-time as a yoga instructor, and Mom has been supplementing her income for years. When Mom announced she was selling the house, Michael immediately said he couldn't possibly take her in because Rebecca needs her space, and they're trying for a baby. They've been saying this for 8 years. Sarah said her apartment was too small, which is actually true. So guess who was left? That's right, the reliable middle child who always says yes. But here's the thing, I didn't even get a chance to say yes. Mom just assumed. She literally said, "Well, obviously I'll live with you. You have that extra room since you converted the garage." That extra room is my office where I do the billing for Jake's side business. But sure, Mom, just invite yourself. The first month she was here, I didn't charge her anything. I figured she needed time to adjust. But then I started noticing things. She was ordering stuff from Amazon every single day. Expensive stuff. A $300 air purifier for her room, a $250 memory foam mattress topper, designer clothes, expensive skincare products. Meanwhile, I'm cutting coupons and shopping at grocery outlet to feed my family. Then came the renovations. Without asking, she hired a contractor to install a walk-in shower in the guest bathroom. Cost $8,000. She said it was her gift to us, but really it was because she didn't like our tub. She bought a $2,000 adjustable bed for the guest room. She had a mini fridge and microwave installed so she could have a kitchenette in her room. Each time, she'd say these improvements were increasing our home value, but never offered to help with the actual house expenses. The breaking point came when I was stressed about Emma's school trip to Washington, D.C. It was $200, and I was trying to figure out how to pay for it. Mom was sitting right there when I was on the phone with the school, trying to work out a payment plan. After I hung up, she said, "That's too bad. When Michael was in school, I made sure he got to go on every trip." Then she went online and bought herself a $400 designer purse. That night, I talked to Jake, and we decided to ask her for rent. We calculated that her living with us increases our utilities by about $150 a month, food costs by about $300. She eats a lot and only likes expensive organic stuff. Plus, she's taking up a third of our house. We figured $800 was more than fair. That's way less than what she'd pay for a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in Seattle. When I brought it up to her, she literally laughed. She said, "You're joking, right? Children don't charge their parents rent. That's not how family works." I tried to explain our financial situation, but she cut me off and said, "That sounds like poor planning on your part. Your father and I never had these problems." I lost it. I mean, really lost it. I said, "Dad worked for Boeing for 35 years with a full pension. You were a stay-at-home mom. You bought your house in 1979 for $42,000. Jake and I are living in a completely different economy, and you have $500,000 sitting in the bank while we're struggling to pay for our kids' necessities." She started crying and said I was being cruel and materialistic. She said, "Family helps family without keeping score," which would be a beautiful sentiment if she had ever helped me financially. But here's another fun fact. She paid for Michael's entire medical school, all of it, over $200,000. When I wanted to go back to school to become a dentist, she told me it was too expensive, and that dental hygienist was more practical for a woman who wants kids. She also bought Sarah her car, paid cash, $22,000 for a brand new Honda. When my car died 3 years ago, she told me I should figure it out like an adult. I'm still driving a 2008 Toyota with 200,000 miles on it that makes a weird grinding noise every time I turn left. I gave her an ultimatum: either pay rent or find somewhere else to live. She called my bluff, thinking I wouldn't kick out my own mother. But I was serious. I gave her 30 days' notice. That's when all hell broke loose. She immediately called Michael and Sarah. Michael called me within an hour screaming that I was disgracing Dad's memory and that real families don't operate like landlords. I asked him why he couldn't take her in then, and he said, "That's not the point. The point is you're already set up for her." Set up for her? She took over my office. I'm now doing work at the kitchen table while my kids are trying to do homework. Sarah sent me a long text about how Mom sacrificed everything for us kids and how I'm being ungrateful. I reminded her that Mom is literally subsidizing her lifestyle right now, paying half her rent every month. But apparently that's different because Sarah actually needs it, while I'm just being greedy. Then the extended family got involved. My Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister 70F, called me sobbing, saying she never thought she'd see the day when one of Linda's children would abandon her in her time of need. Time of need? She has more money in the bank than Jake and I have made in the last 5 years combined. My cousin Beth, 45F, posted on Facebook, without naming names but obviously about me, saying, "Some people treat their parents like ATM machines instead of honoring them in their golden years. Disgusting." The irony is that Beth's mother-in-law lives in a mother-in-law suite attached to their house and pays them $1,000 a month, but apparently that's different because she's not technically Beth's mom. Mom then played her MasterCard. She called my kids crying, telling them that Mommy was kicking Grandma out onto the street. Emma came to me in tears asking why I hated Grandma. Lucas asked if Grandma was going to be homeless. I had to sit them down and explain the situation in age-appropriate terms. But the damage was done. Now my kids think I'm the bad guy. The situation got worse when Mom started telling everyone a very different version of events. According to her, she's a poor widow who gave all her money to her children. What money? When? And now her cruel daughter is charging her market rate rent to live in a basement room. First of all, it's not a basement. We don't even have a basement. Second, $800 is nowhere near market rate for a private room with a renovated bathroom in Seattle. Third, she hasn't given us a dime. My dad's brother, Uncle Tony, called me disappointed. He said Dad would be rolling in his grave if he knew I was treating Mom this way. He said, "Your dad worked hard his whole life so your mother would be taken care of." Yeah, and she is taken care of. She has a pension, Social Security, and $500,000 in the bank. Just because Dad took care of her doesn't mean I have to subsidize her lifestyle while my own family struggles. 3 weeks into the 30-day notice, Mom did something that shocked everyone. She actually found an apartment. A luxury senior living community where rent is $3,800 a month. Suddenly, mysteriously, she could afford rent. She made a big production of moving out, hired professional movers, and told everyone she was being forced into exile by her heartless daughter. The family was split. Some said, "See, she could afford it all along." Others said, "Look what you've driven her to, spending her retirement savings on rent." As if $3,800 a month was my fault, when she could have paid us $800 and stayed in a family environment. The day she moved out, she left a letter on the kitchen counter. It said she was cutting me out of her will and that she hoped the money was worth losing. A mother. She wrote that she had never been so disappointed in me and that I had become someone she didn't recognize. She said Jake had poisoned me against family, and that she felt sorry for my children being raised by someone with no sense of family values. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, Michael has blocked me on everything. Sarah texts me only to tell me how badly I've hurt Mom. Half my cousins won't speak to me. The other half are secretly messaging me saying they understand but can't say so publicly because they don't want to deal with the drama. But here's the update that just happened yesterday that makes me wonder if I was wrong all along. Mom's best friend Caroline called me. She said Mom has been crying every day, not about the money, but because she genuinely believed I would never ask her to leave. She said Mom told her that living with us was the happiest she'd been since Dad died, even with the rent issue. She said Mom felt useful helping with the kids and having family around. Caroline said the luxury apartment is nice, but Mom is desperately lonely and too proud to admit she made a mistake. This hit me hard because I realize now that maybe this wasn't just about money for Mom. Maybe it was about feeling wanted and needed. Maybe when she said family doesn't charge family, she meant something deeper than just money. But then I think about her shopping sprees while we struggled, her paying for my siblings but not helping us, and her complete dismissal of our financial stress, and I get angry all over again. Jake is 100% on my side. He says Mom was taking advantage of us and that we did the right thing. He points out that we can now actually use my office again, our utility bills have gone down, and we're not spending $300 extra on groceries. He also reminds me that Mom chose to move to a place that costs nearly 5 times what we were asking for, so clearly the money wasn't the issue. Control was. But my kids miss their grandma. Emma has stopped talking to me beyond basic necessities. Lucas keeps asking when Grandma is coming back. They don't understand why she can't live with us anymore, and honestly, some days neither do I. Things have gotten so much worse since Mom moved out, and I've discovered things about my family that have completely shattered my perception of everything. But let me back up and tell you what's happened in the last 2 weeks, because it's been absolute insanity. First, the family war escalated to a whole new level. My brother Michael didn't just block me. He sent an email to the entire extended family with the subject line regarding Linda's living situation. I'm going to quote parts of it because you need to see the level of manipulation here. Dear family, I feel compelled to address the disturbing situation regarding our mother's living arrangements. As many of you know, our sister has chosen to prioritize money over family, charging our widowed mother rent like a common tenant. What you may not know is that Mom offered to help with groceries and utilities, but my sister demanded formal rent payments with a written lease agreement. Mom is now spending her final years alone in an apartment instead of surrounded by family, all because of greed. First of all, Mom never offered to help with groceries. Second, I never asked for a written lease. I just asked for $800 a month to help with expenses. But the damage was done. I started getting messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all expressing their disappointment and shock. My response email to everyone included screenshots of my bank statement showing our monthly expenses, Emma's medical bills, and the cost of Lucas's therapy and medication. I also included a screenshot of Mom's Facebook post from 3 days before she moved in with us, showing off her new $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag with the caption, "Treating myself because life is short." Several relatives went quiet after that, but others doubled down. Then Sarah jumped into the fray with her own Facebook post. Some people forget that parents give us life, raise us, sacrifice for us. They shouldn't have to pay to be part of our lives when they get older. Money isn't everything. Family is. The comments were brutal. Her yoga friends were all supporting her, calling me toxic and saying I needed to heal my relationship with abundance, whatever that means. I commented asking Sarah when she was planning to pay back the $42,000 Mom had given her over the last 5 years. She deleted my comment within minutes and blocked me too. But here's where things get interesting. My cousin Janet, 44F, who's been neutral in all this, called me with some tea. She said at last month's family dinner, which I wasn't invited to obviously, Mom had a few too many wines and started talking. According to Janet, Mom admitted she sold the house because her financial advisor told her she needed liquid assets for her investment opportunity. Investment opportunity? What investment opportunity? This was the first I'd heard of it. I did some digging. I called my mom's longtime friend Dorothy, 68F, and pretended everything was fine between us, just catching up. After some small talk, I casually asked about Mom's investments. Dorothy, bless her gossipy heart, spilled everything. Apparently, Mom has been talking about investing $200,000 in Sarah's wellness retreat center that she wants to open in Costa Rica. Sarah has been filling Mom's head with projections of 300% returns within 2 years. I nearly threw my phone across the room. A wellness retreat center? In Costa Rica? Run by my sister who can't even pay her own rent? And Mom never mentioned this when she was living with us rent-free? I called my Aunt Patricia, Mom's sister, to verify this. She confirmed it but said it was worse than I thought. Mom had apparently already given Sarah $50,000 as seed money for the business plan. This was while she was living with us, crying poverty about paying $800 in rent. Patricia also let slip something else. Mom has been paying Michael's country club membership fees, $500 a month, because doctors need to network. When I asked how long this had been going on, Patricia got quiet and then said, "Oh, probably shouldn't have mentioned that. It's been 3 years. 3 years of $1,500 a month. That's $54,000. Armed with this information, I decided to confront Mom directly. I drove to her luxury apartment, which, by the way, has a pool, gym, spa, and 24-hour concierge service. She refused to buzz me in at first, but I waited until another resident went in and followed them. When she opened her door, she looked perfect as always. Fresh manicure, styled hair, designer outfit. The apartment was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. It was nicer than my house. "What do you want?" she said, not even inviting me in. "I know about Sarah's wellness center. I know about Michael's country club. I know about all of it," I said. Her face went pale, then red. "You've been snooping into my finances? How dare you?" "How dare I? You lived in my house for months, ate our food, used our utilities, and cried that $800 a month would bankrupt you while secretly funding my siblings' lives." She finally let me in, and we had it out. The conversation was brutal. She admitted to everything but justified it all. Michael needs the country club for his career. Sarah needs her help because she's finding herself. But me? I have a husband, so I don't need help. Her exact words, "You have Jake to take care of you. Your siblings only have me." "Jake and I are drowning," I shouted. "We can barely afford our kids' needs, and you're funding Sarah's pipe dream in Costa Rica?" "It's not a pipe dream. Sarah has a gift for healing. This retreat will help thousands of people." "Sarah can't even help herself. You've been paying her rent for 5 years. Then Mom said something that broke my heart. "At least Sarah and Michael still want me around. You just want my money. I wanted you to contribute to the household you were living in. That's not the same as wanting your money." She started crying then, but it felt manipulative. She said I had always been jealous of my siblings, that I was the difficult one who could never be happy for others' success. She said Dad would be ashamed of how I turned out. Money-obsessed and cold. I lost it. I told her about all the times Jake and I had struggled while she helped my siblings. Like when our furnace broke in January and we had to put the $3,000 repair on a credit card we're still paying off, while she was paying for Sarah's weekly therapy sessions at $200 each. Or when Emma needed new glasses and we had to go to the cheapest place in town while Mom bought Michael a $5,000 espresso machine for his birthday. Her response? "You never asked for help. I shouldn't have to ask. You lived with us. You saw us stress about money every single day. You watched me cry over bills, but you only help the kids who ask, and I'm the one who's cold." The argument escalated. She accused me of poisoning my children against her. I reminded her that she was the one who called them crying about being thrown out. She said I was vindictive and petty. I said she was manipulative and playing favorites. Then she dropped a bomb. "Well, at least now you know where you stand. I'm leaving everything to Michael and Sarah. You've made it clear you only care about money, so you'll get none of mine." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You already told me that in your letter. But thanks for confirming that your love is transactional." As I was leaving, she said one more thing. "Your father left me enough to take care of all my children. I'm doing what he would have wanted. Dad would have wanted you to help all your children equally, not just the ones who stroke your ego," I shot back. I left then, but the confrontation had been witnessed. Her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, was in the hallway and heard everything. By the next day, Mom was telling everyone I had barged in and verbally assaulted her, demanding money. The fallout was immediate. Michael sent a cease and desist letter, an actual legal letter, telling me to stop harassing our mother and spreading defamatory information about the family finances. Can you believe that? A cease and desist from my own brother. Sarah posted a cryptic Instagram story. When toxic people can't control you, they try to control how others see you. Stay strong, Mama Bear. Some of us still love you. It got over 200 likes. But here's the thing. Not everyone was on their side anymore. After my email with the evidence, some family members started reaching out privately. My cousin Tommy, 40M, told me he went through something similar with his parents and understood completely. My Aunt Louise, Dad's sister, called to say she always suspected Mom played favorites but never had proof. The most surprising ally came from Rebecca, Michael's wife. She called me after a few drinks and said she was sick of Michael sending his mother money while telling her they couldn't afford fertility treatments. She didn't know about the country club fees until my email. She said they've been having problems because of his financial secrecy, and this was the last straw. She's considering divorce. Then, last week, something happened that changed everything. I got a call from Mom's financial advisor, William. He said Mom had listed me as a reference for a loan application, a $300,000 loan against her investment portfolio for Sarah's retreat. I'm calling to verify your mother's living situation. She listed she's living with you rent-free as part of her financial assessment, he said. I told him the truth. She moved out after refusing to pay rent and now lives in a $3,800-month luxury apartment. He was quiet for a moment, then thanked me and hung up. Apparently, Mom had been trying to make herself look less financially stable to qualify for better loan terms, claiming she had no housing expenses. The loan was denied. Sarah called me screaming. Actually screaming. You vindictive bitch! You just ruined my entire future. Mom was going to help me build something beautiful, and you destroyed it out of spite. I told the truth. If your business plan was solid, it wouldn't need Mom to lie on a loan application, I said. You don't understand anything about following your dreams because you gave up on yours. You settled for being a dental hygienist, and now you're bitter that I'm actually trying to make something of myself. That stung, but I held firm. Making something of yourself with Mom's money isn't success, Sarah. It's dependency. She hung up on me, but not before saying she hopes my kids grow up to hate me as much as she does. The loan denial caused a massive rift. Mom called me sobbing, saying I had deliberately sabotaged Sarah's future. She said she had never been so hurt in her entire life. She accused me of being vengeful and said this proved I was only angry about the money, not about fairness. But Jake pointed out something important. If she has to lie on a loan application to fund Sarah's business, maybe it's not a good investment. Michael then did something unexpected. He called me. First time in weeks. He was cold but businesslike. He said if I agreed to call the financial advisor back and correct my statement, he would personally pay us the $800 a month Mom should have been paying. You want me to lie so Mom can take out a loan she can't afford to fund Sarah's fantasy business? And you'll pay me for it, I asked, incredulous. I want this family to function again, he said. This family hasn't functioned in years, Michael. You just haven't noticed because you were benefiting from the dysfunction. He hung up, but the conversation got me thinking. Everyone in this family has been living in a different reality. Michael thinks he's the successful one who deserves support. Sarah thinks she's the free spirit who needs nurturing. Mom thinks she's the matriarch holding everyone together. And me? I've been the reliable one who never asks for anything and gets punished for finally speaking up. Yesterday, things hit a new low. Emma's school called. She's been acting out, talking back to teachers, and her grades are dropping. The counselor said Emma told her that our family is broken, and she's angry at me for choosing money over Grandma. The counselor suggested family therapy. When I told Jake, he was furious. Your mother has traumatized our kids to make a point. This is emotional abuse. But Lucas broke my heart last night. He came into our room crying, asking if we were poor. He said Grandma told him we were having money troubles, and that's why we needed her money. He's been worried we're going to lose our house. An 11-year-old shouldn't be worrying about this stuff. I called Mom to confront her about talking to the kids about money. Her response? They deserve to know why their mother is keeping them from their grandmother. I'm not keeping them from you. You can see them anytime. You chose to move out rather than contribute to the household. No, you chose money over family, and now you're dealing with the consequences. The consequences. My daughter hates me. My son is anxious about money. My marriage is stressed. Half my family won't speak to me. The other half whispers behind closed doors. And for what? For asking my wealthy mother to pay less than a quarter of what she's paying now for rent? But here's the latest development that has me questioning everything. Mom's health. Dorothy called me yesterday, concerned. She said Mom hasn't been herself lately. She's been forgetting things, mixing up dates, and seeming confused. She missed their standing lunch date twice, which has never happened in 20 years. Dorothy thinks Mom might be showing early signs of dementia. This terrified me. I immediately called Michael to discuss it, but he said Dorothy was being dramatic and Mom was just stressed from everything I've put her through. But then Rebecca texted me privately that she's noticed it too. Mom called her 3 times last week, asking the same question about their anniversary party. Now I'm torn. If Mom is experiencing cognitive decline, did I just kick out a vulnerable elderly woman over money, or is this another manipulation tactic? The timing seems suspicious, right when the family is divided and she's facing criticism for her financial choices. I made an appointment with Mom's doctor, Dr. Hansen, but he can't discuss anything with me without Mom's permission, which she won't give. I'm considering calling Adult Protective Services for a wellness check, but Jake thinks that's going too far. She's living in a luxury apartment with full amenities. She's not in danger, he said. But what if she is? What if the financial decisions, the favoritism, the manipulation, what if it's all symptoms of something bigger? Or what if I'm looking for excuses to forgive behavior that's been happening for decades? My therapist, yes, I started therapy over this, says I'm experiencing complex grief. I'm grieving the mother I thought I had, the family I thought we were, and the relationships that are now broken. She says it's normal to second-guess myself when facing this level of family conflict. The last 3 days have been the most insane of my entire life, and I'm sitting here at 3 a.m. unable to sleep, wondering if I've destroyed my family or saved it. What started as asking for rent has revealed decades of lies, a potential crime, and a family secret that changes everything. But let me tell you what happened because I need to know if I'm the asshole or if I've been gaslit my entire life. After my concerns about Mom's possible dementia, I decided to do something that some might consider crossing a line. I hired a private investigator. I know. Who hires a PI on their own mother? But I needed to know the truth about her finances and her mental state before making any more decisions that would affect my kids. What the PI found changed everything. First, the finances. Mom doesn't have $485,000 from the house sale. She has $127,000 left. In 8 months, she's blown through $358,000. The PI tracked down the spending, $50,000 to Sarah for the retreat, $54,000 to Michael for the country club, but also $65,000 to a man named Robert Chen, who Mom met online 6 months ago. She's been sending him money for his tech startup. The PI found out Robert Chen doesn't exist. It's a romance scam run out of Nigeria. But that's not even the worst part. The PI discovered that Mom has been taking out credit cards, 7 of them, all maxed out, totaling $73,000 in debt. She's been paying minimums with her Social Security and pension, but she's drowning. The luxury apartment? She's 2 months behind on rent. When I confronted Michael with this information, his response shocked me. I know. You know? You know Mom's been scammed and in debt, and you're still taking money from her? She insists on paying the country club. It makes her feel important. Who am I to deny her that dignity? Dignity? Michael, she's going bankrupt. That's not my problem. She's an adult who makes her own choices. This from the man who sent me a cease and desist for harassing our poor, innocent mother. I then confronted Sarah, who also knew about the scam. I tried to warn her, but she said Robert loves her and I'm just jealous. What was I supposed to do? Maybe not take $50,000 from her for a fake business, I suggested. My business isn't fake, and she offered. Besides, you kicked her out over $800, so you don't get to play concerned daughter now. The PI also discovered something else. Mom hasn't been taking her medications. She has prescriptions for blood pressure, diabetes, and anxiety that haven't been filled in months. When I checked her previous insurance statements, I found out why. She dropped her supplemental insurance to save money. Her medications would cost $680 a month without it. I called an emergency family meeting. Even though Michael and Sarah didn't want to meet with me, I told them if they didn't come, I was calling Adult Protective Services immediately. We met at a neutral location, Uncle Tony's house. The meeting was devastating. I laid out everything: the scam, the debt, the unfilled medications, the unpaid rent. Michael's first response was to blame me. If you hadn't kicked her out, we could have monitored this better. She was living with me when she started sending money to the scammer, I shot back. Tony, who had been firmly on Mom's side, went pale. Linda's been scammed? How much? When I told him the full amount, he sat down hard. Christ, your father would be spinning in his grave. Then Sarah dropped her own bomb. Well, maybe if Dad hadn't been sending money to his other family, Mom would have more now. Everyone froze. What other family? I asked. Sarah smirked. Oh, you didn't know. Dad had another daughter, in California. Mom told me when she was drunk a few months ago. He'd been sending them money for years. Michael stood up so fast his chair fell over. You're lying. Ask Mom. Sarah shrugged. Her name is Jennifer. She's 35. Do the math. I felt like I'd been punched. Dad had an affair 35 years ago? Had a child? Had been sending them money? I looked at Tony, who looked sick. I knew he had some troubles in his marriage early on, but... Tony stammered. The meeting devolved into chaos. Michael was screaming at Sarah for spreading lies. Sarah was yelling that we all lived in denial. Tony was trying to calm everyone down, and I just sat there, realizing my entire childhood was built on lies. I drove straight to Mom's apartment. She didn't want to let me in, but I told her I knew about Jennifer. The door opened immediately. She looked terrible. Her usually perfect hair was unwashed. She was in the same clothes I'd seen her in 3 days ago. The apartment was a mess, dishes piled up, mail scattered everywhere. How do you know about Jennifer? She whispered. Sarah told us. Is it true? Mom started crying. Not her usual manipulative tears, but deep, broken sobs. I found out when you were 3. Your father had an affair with his secretary. Such a cliché. When she got pregnant, he promised to cut contact if I didn't leave. But he lied. He sent them $1,000 a month for 18 years. Then Jennifer reached out when she turned 18, wanting to meet him. He refused, but increased the money to keep her away. You knew about this and stayed. Where would I have gone? I had 3 kids, no job, no skills, and despite everything, I loved him. He was a good father to you kids. Just compartmentalized. The word hit me like a slap. Compartmentalized. Just like Mom compartmentalized her children. Michael the golden child, Sarah the baby, me the afterthought. Is that why you favor Michael and Sarah? Because I remind you of the period when you discovered the affair? Mom looked at me with surprise. I don't favor them. Mom, you've given Michael $54,000 and Sarah $50,000 just this year. You paid for Michael's medical school and Sarah's car. You told me I needed to be more self-sufficient. You were always so strong, she said weakly, like your father. You never seemed to need me. I was a child. I needed you just as much as they did. Then she said something that explained everything. When I looked at you, I saw him. The determination, the independence, even your eyes. Michael looks like my father. Sarah looks like me. But you're all Richard. And after Jennifer, every time I looked at you, I wondered if you'd grow up to hurt someone like he hurt me. I sat there stunned. She punished me for looking like my father? She withheld support because she projected his sins onto me? And the romance scam? I asked. Her face crumbled. Robert made me feel special. Wanted. After your father died, I was so lonely. And then you kicked me out, and Robert was the only one who seemed to care. Mom, Robert doesn't exist. You've sent $65,000 to criminals. She shook her head. No, he loves me. He's just having trouble with his business. He'll pay me back. That's when I realized, whether it's dementia or just desperate loneliness, Mom couldn't accept the truth. I stayed with her that night. I helped her clean up, made her dinner, and went through her mail. The situation was worse than the PI had found. She had legal notices for the unpaid rent, shut-off notices for utilities at the apartment, and collection agencies calling about the credit cards. I called Michael and told him Mom needed immediate help. His response? I have a conference in Boston. Can't this wait? I called Sarah. I'm leaving for Costa Rica tomorrow to scout locations for the retreat. This is your mess to clean up. So here I was, the daughter who was cut out of the will, the one who was cold and money obsessed, the only one actually helping. I spent the next day getting Mom's affairs in order. I got her back on her medications. I paid for them myself. I negotiated with the luxury apartment complex to let her out of the lease without penalty due to financial hardship. I found her a nice senior living community that accepts Medicaid and costs $1,800 a month. Still expensive, but manageable with her income. While packing her things, I found a box of letters. Letters from Jennifer to my father. Letters from my father to Jennifer. And a letter from Jennifer to Mom, dated a month after Dad's funeral. Jennifer's letter was heartbreaking. She wrote about growing up knowing her father didn't want her, about seeing our family photos on Facebook and wondering what it would have been like to be acknowledged. She said she didn't want money. Dad had left her $100,000 in his will, which Mom clearly didn't know about. She just wanted to understand who her father was. At the bottom, she'd written her phone number. I did something I probably shouldn't have. I called her. Jennifer answered on the 3rd ring. Her voice sounded eerily like mine. We talked for 3 hours. She's a teacher in San Diego, married with 2 kids. She never knew about us until she was 16. Her mother had told her that her father died when she was a baby. When she found out the truth, it broke her. I used to dream about having siblings, she said. I looked you all up online. You look happy in your photos. Photos lie, I told her. I told her everything about Mom, the favoritism, the current situation. She listened, then said something profound. At least your parents favored someone. Neither of mine wanted me. We agreed to stay in touch. When I hung up, I realized I'd just gained a sister and lost a family in the same week. The next morning, Mom's move to the senior community was scheduled. Michael actually showed up, but only to supervise what furniture Mom was keeping. He took several pieces for safekeeping, including Dad's antique desk and grandfather clock, easily worth $15,000 together. Sarah called from the airport. I'm not canceling my trip for this drama. Mom made her choices. As we moved Mom, she kept asking for Robert. She wanted to make sure he had her new address. It was heartbreaking. The staff at the senior community said they see this a lot. Seniors getting scammed and unable to accept it. Michael pulled me aside before leaving. The offer still stands. You can have $800 a month if you tell people Mom's living situation is her choice, not because of financial issues. You want me to lie so you can save face? I want to preserve Dad's legacy. He worked hard to build a reputation. Do you want people knowing he had an affair, that Mom's been scammed, that she's essentially bankrupt? I want people to know the truth. The truth helps no one. But he's wrong. The truth helped me. I'm not crazy. I'm not cold. I'm not money obsessed. I'm the daughter who was emotionally abandoned because I looked like the father who betrayed everyone. I'm the sister who was denied support while watching my siblings get handed everything. I'm the woman who asked for basic fairness and got called a monster for it. Yesterday was Mom's first full day in the senior community. She called me 6 times, not to apologize or thank me, but to ask if Robert had called. Each time, I had to tell her no. Each time, she forgot she'd already asked. Last night, Jake and I sat down with Emma and Lucas. We told them age-appropriate truth, that Grandma is sick and needs special care, that sometimes families have disagreements, but it doesn't mean we don't love each other, and that none of this is their fault. Emma asked, "Did Grandma really love us, or was that a lie too?" I didn't know how to answer. Today, I got a call from Mom's lawyer. Despite what she said, she hasn't actually changed her will yet. He wanted to know if the family was contesting Mom's mental capacity to make changes. I told him about the diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment the senior community's doctor had just given. He said that complicates things. If Mom lacks capacity, her previous will stands, splitting everything equally among the 3 of us. But everything is now debt, and a few pieces of furniture Michael already took. Michael called me panicking. If Mom's diagnosed as incapacitated, he could be investigated for elder financial abuse for accepting money from her while knowing about her mental state. He suddenly wants to work together as a family to protect Mom's dignity. Sarah called crying from Costa Rica. Without Mom's money, she can't afford to stay there, much less start a retreat. She's blaming me for destroying her dreams with my greed. But here's the thing. I'm done. I'm done being the scapegoat. I'm done being blamed for having boundaries. I'm done pretending this family is something it's not. I've decided to petition for conservatorship of Mom. Not for money. There's none left. But to protect her from further scams and from my siblings, who would bleed her dry. Michael is threatening to sue me. Sarah is telling everyone I'm trying to steal Mom's non-existent fortune. The extended family is in chaos. Aunt Patricia says I'm doing the right thing. Uncle Tony says I'm dishonoring my father's memory by airing family business. Cousins are choosing sides. The family Christmas party has been canceled because no one can stand to be in the same room. But you know what? For the first time in my life, I'm not trying to keep the peace. I'm not staying quiet to maintain harmony. I'm not sacrificing my well-being for people who wouldn't do the same for me. Mom is safe, getting medical care, and protected from scammers. My kids are in therapy to process everything. Jake and I are stronger than ever. He says he's proud of me for finally standing up for myself. And I have a new sister who actually wants to get to know me. So Reddit, here's where we are. I asked my wealthy mother to pay $800 rent while living in my house. This led to discovering she's been scammed out of $65,000, finding out about my father's affair child, revealing 100,000 plusers in financial favoritism, uncovering potential elder abuse, exposing family secrets that go back 35 years, possibly developing a relationship with a secret sister, getting cut out of a will that now only contains debt, being threatened with lawsuits by my siblings, having half my extended family turn against me, needing therapy for my traumatized children, and becoming my mother's conservator while she asks daily about a scammer she thinks loves her. My mother, who has mild dementia, is in a senior care facility she never would have needed if she hadn't blown through nearly $400,000 in 8 months. She still thinks I'm cruel for asking for rent. Michael still thinks he did nothing wrong accepting $54,000 from a woman he knew was being scammed. Sarah still thinks she's the victim because her fake wellness retreat won't happen. The family is destroyed, maybe permanently. But was I wrong? Was asking for $800 from a woman with $485,000 in the bank and $3,600 monthly income really the asshole move everyone made it out to be? Or did that one request just reveal the truth about a family built on lies, favoritism, and manipulation? I think about what Dad would say. The dad I thought I knew would be horrified by all of this. But the real dad? The one who had an affair, had another child, and paid to keep her secret? Maybe he'd understand that sometimes you have to break things apart to rebuild them properly. Or maybe he'd be ashamed that his carefully constructed facade finally crumbled. All I know is this. I asked for rent. Just rent. And uncovered a lifetime of lies in the process. So, AITA. Or is this what happens when the family scapegoat finally says, enough? Hey everyone, if you made it through this entire story, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. I really need to know what you think about this situation. Rate this moral dilemma from 0 to 10 in terms of complexity, and tell me in the comments. Who's really the asshole here? Is it me for asking for rent and exposing all these secrets? My mom for the favoritism and financial chaos? My siblings for taking advantage while knowing she was being scammed? Or my father for creating this web of lies in the first place? Let me know what you would have done in my situation.